is really important to me, you guys, to get in here and chat with you. It's also really important for me, for myself. Like I need to be able to process out sometimes out loud what I'm working through. And this helps me. And then it also helps me in my coaching practice. It also helps me in, learning the technology part of everything so I can get better at that to serve people who are online better. And y'all, I am totally looking at my camera at my hair today. Oh my gosh. I haven't washed it in like 3 days. And normally that would be okay. Like I'm good 3 or 4 days even before I wash my hair. But like I use this root lifter stuff that my stylist gave me, and it is like kind of crunchy. And I didn't realize it. And last night I was like, oh, I should probably wash my hair. And then I didn't wake up like with enough motivation this morning to do that. I woke up, semi-motivated, but I didn't wake up with a lot of motivation. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. And if you're here live with me, just let me know. Hi, Pam. I do see you there. I see you, my friend. And oh my goodness, you be looking so good lately. You are so like radiant. That's the word, radiant. I'm not kidding you. Every time I see a picture of you on Facebook, I'm like, she is glowing. It's like you're aging backwards. What is up with that? Tell me what you're doing. I'd love to know. Would y'all like to know? She can tell us in the comments what she's doing. Miss Pam is one of my amazing friends who lives in Florida. And for those of you who are new to the group, or maybe you're just joining because you follow me on my YouTube channel and you don't know, I live in the great state of Tennessee, but super close to the Alabama state line. So I kind of claim both of those states, but I reside in Tennessee. I love it here. So anyways, I'm just going to be pretty short. Oh, you're so sweet. I'm going to be pretty short, this morning, and try to cut out all my distractions by making my Zoom as big as possible so I can't see anything going on back there. Okay, let's go. So here's the deal, you guys. I want to talk to you, and all this month we're going to be talking about how to love ourselves, self-esteem, self-talk, all that kind of stuff. It's really important, but I think the world has really, I don't know what the word is, like misconstrued what that really means. Some people are like so caught up in self-love that it's not healthy. It can go to the, far left, and then you can go to the far right with it too. So I'm just saying there's people who are like, oh, like poor me, I do it all. And it's okay. I just going to give myself till there's only like nothing left. And then there's the other people who are like, I am awesome, all the time. So there's this middle ground that I'm talking about. And this middle ground is the place where God sees us. And he sees us in such a way that it's probably near impossible for us to truly see how he sees us on this side of heaven, but it's a goal. Just like our healing, when I talk to clients, or, I talk to my friends, or even to myself, because the Holy Spirit revealed this to me, that healing is a journey, with no end date. It's like healed. I'm working on my healing until whenever it needs to be done. Okay. So it's kind of like the same when it comes to trying to learn to love ourselves and see ourselves the way that God sees us. And it doesn't matter if you came from an incredibly loving home growing up and your parents always like spoke life and identity into you, or if you're somebody who came from a background of terrible abuse and things like that happened to you. It doesn't matter what background you came from. You could think you're the most like positive person in the world towards yourself. And I can guarantee you, after we get done today, you're going to have a moment to at least recognize that you do have some things you need to work out within yourself that are negative. So we're going to shine the spotlight on things that nobody really wants to look at. I don't, it's not fun, but in order to change something in our life, we have to change something in our life. And the word change is so incredibly scary for a lot of people. I could say to you like, hey guys, how many of you, by show of hands, and I can't see you, so you can't raise your hand and like, I won't be able to know. Okay. But in your heart, raise your hand. If you would love to see change around you occur, like if you would love to see something in this, just say America, because I know all of you guys here in the group right now are from America. So you would just love to see our country change. Just raise your hand in your heart. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you a different question. How many of you would like to change? Raise your hand in your heart. And that's a really difficult question, because I know for myself, I am okay with seeing change. I want to see change. Yeah, I want that to change. But do I want to change? No, not really. And I think I do want to change, but here's the deal. Change is scary because it's unfamiliar. Even if what we're going through isn't good, even if the habits we have aren't, serving us well anymore, the relationships we have aren't serving us well anymore, our thought life isn't serving us well anymore. Change is difficult because it's unfamiliar, and it actually leads to feelings of loss. And that loss, which I know very deeply well right now, and I know most of you have lost someone you love and have experienced grief. It's the same type of feeling that you're fighting to never have to experience. So I think that's really important, because if we are fighting our pain, and I just shared this recently with somebody else this week that I was coaching, and I need to be reminded of it too. Like weeks ago. And then I reminded it to her. And it's just, that's what we do. Like we learn things, we figure it out, and then we share it with others, because the Bible says we should comfort others with the same comfort we've been comforted with. So that's what I want to do. But anyways, if you're fighting pain within yourself, like say you are birthing a child and you're fighting against every contraction that comes, it's painful, but you're fighting it and you're not letting your body, just do what it needs to do, then it's going to hurt a whole lot worse. If you have, ever experienced a muscle spasm or a Charlie horse in your leg, for instance, if you keep everything super tense and tight and you're fighting against all that pain, the pain is going to be so much more difficult, so much more intense, and it's going to be so much harder to release. The pain, it's going to be harder to release the baby. It's going to be harder to release, the Charlie horse or the back spasm or whatever it is. I've experienced a lot of, types of things like that before. When we fight against the pain, it's harder. So the things that are going on inside of us that cause us pain, that we don't want to look at, that we don't want to deal with, we're fighting it. And it's just causing us more and more pain. But if we would just kind of release, acknowledge that it's happening, and go inward and deal with it, like really deal with it, for once and for all, like that, it may still be painful, but it's not going to be as painful. And there will be release at the end that wasn't quite as difficult. And there's some, relief. Okay. So I was talking with my husband last night about how things that happen in our childhood affect us so much as adults. And he's kind of more on the spectrum of, yeah, but you can't just keep blaming it on things that happen in your childhood. And I was like, I totally agree. You should not keep blaming the way you think about yourself or the way you think about others or the way you respond to life or whatever on your childhood. But you do have to go back and look at it. You do have to go back and see, why is it that I'm always doing these things I'm doing? And I am like the one that people call like deep. I get called deep a lot. And I don't take it as an offensive thing but people are like, gosh, Catherine, you're so deep. Why do you always go there first? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I just can't help it. I always ask why. Like, I'm so curious. I'm curious. Why do you do that? Why, what's going on in there? Like, what's happening? Because if we don't know why, then we can't fix it. If we don't know where it starts, we can't deal with it. So yes, we don't want to stay in the past. We don't want to keep bringing it up and looking at it over and over again. I sure did. And that's why writing my book was the most difficult thing I ever did, because I had to go back and look at stuff that I have already been healed of. And I really didn't want to do it. And it brought up all the junk that just comes with it. Even though I'd been healed from it, it's still stuff like trauma literally stays like somewhere in your brain. And so it can be brought back up. And so even though I'd healed, even though I'd been through a lot of stuff, I know that I have to leave that in the past, but that helps me, and it helps me to help others as well, to see where things might have started. So if you can go back to where they might have started, you can say, okay, I started thinking that it was really dumb in second grade when somebody laughed at me when I was trying to read out loud in the class and I couldn't do it. Or whatever, like go back to find a negative thought about yourself, go back to where did that start? Or if you're like, why do I always treat people that way? Where did that come from? Ask yourself those questions. Believe me, you'll have great revelation in some of this stuff. If you guys will just take the time. I don't have my journal out here right now because I usually have it like right in front of me. I'll have my calendar, but I don't even know where it is. Probably, but no, it's downstairs. Never mind. I was writing some stuff in it, some revelations that God's just been like a waterfall to me lately about my own life. So I have had it almost, with me everywhere, but I have like 6 journals around my house, which isn't easy when you want to go back and try to find what it is he said. Cause I'm like, which one did I write it in? Anyway. So all I was saying was that if you can go back and see where it started, you can deal with it. So you can't heal from what you got going on. You can't change what you got going on, how you've been, unless you are willing to go back and see where that came from, feel the pain, feel the embarrassment, feel the anger, whatever it is that you're dealing with. And then the word deal with it. So like I just said, so you have to go back and feel, like allow yourself to really feel it. Like that sucked. I was so mad at them. Or that teacher was really mean, like really mean, or my parents never validated me, or whatever it was. And then deal with it. Dealing with it looks like this. You're writing everything down that you're thinking, where it stemmed from, and then you are challenging that thing with the truth. And the truth is, yeah, that teacher was a jerk, and that teacher said things to me that I believed were true, but they are not true because I am smart. I have XYZ. Find something that you have been able to do. Like maybe you actually graduated high school with your diploma. Oh, goodness gracious, that's awesome. Maybe you were an AB student and maybe a C here and there. You're not stupid. Like go back and find out. Like I learned to drive. I've kept my kids alive. I keep myself alive. Like I haven't burned my house down. Like there's so many different things you can look at to say like, I'm not stupid. You can like take that thing that you believed and find something that challenges it. And then say, this is where it was, this is what it is. Okay. So that's just a little exercise that you can do to go back and deal with some of the things that you are battling maybe that seem to be coming up pretty frequently. And this is something that I want to eventually, I'm going to start going a little bit deeper. See, there it is. And asking you guys to share with me here in this group and the other women, this is a safe place for you to do that. What are some of the things that you're battling when it comes to your mental health and your self-image, your body image? I would love to hear some of those things. If you ever feel led to share what you're battling, just create a post in this group. You're free to do that. You have my permission. I'm pretty sure the permissions are available for you guys to be able to do that. So if you're like, I can't post anything in here, send me a message and let me know. I see things differently on my end because I created the group. So if you guys are running into any issues with it, you just need to let me know and I'll fix them. Okay. But I would love for you guys to interact and share. So I'm going to pull up my notes here because I've been writing a few things down that I want to share with you guys about our inner critic. So I was given the responsibility about, I don't know, 6 years ago now, something like that, by my pastor at the time to come up in front of the church. That was big and scary, and share with the church who my biggest critic is or was in my life and how I overcame, how I dealt with it. And my very first thought when he asked me to do that, it wasn't that, I mean, of course, I think my very first thought was like, you want me to speak with a microphone in my hand? But then after I was like, well, he asked me to do it, I have to do it. Cause I was like super obedient. And I was like, okay, that's what you want me to do. So, but the very first person I thought of that was my biggest critic was myself. Like there's been people all throughout my life, believe me, if you've read my story, who have told me terrible things, who have called me terrible names, who have told me I can never, you won't, you'll always, all those things. But the worst critic in my life is me. And so if you feel like maybe you can relate, wave your hand in the comment section below and say like, yeah, me too. I'm there. So I was definitely my own worst critic. And so when he asked me to speak, I was able to get up and just say like, hey, yeah, so-and-so had an aunt that was a critic. They spoke before me, and so-and-so had, I can't remember, somebody else that was a critic in their life. And I had one person besides myself that was close to how bad I was on myself, but nobody really compared like how I was to myself. And I still battle this. It's not as bad as it was, but it's still not where it needs to be. That's for sure. So I shared that I was my own worst enemy, basically. Like I was the biggest critic that I had. And the truth is, it's not just me, it's the enemy feeding all these little lies, to me through my day, like trying to point out like, look, you ate that and you shouldn't have ate that. You always do that. You're such a failure or whatever. Okay. And so I had to really sit down and write out what in the world I was thinking to myself all the time and how it was affecting me and all of that. Okay. So it's really easy to see all the things that are wrong with us when we start sitting down and listing all the things that are wrong with us. And I just recently put a little post in this group and on my Instagram as well about if I were to ask you to sit down and create a list of all the things that you loved, how far down on the list, if at all, would you yourself, would you be? Would you even be on the list? Would you even have listed yourself as something that you loved? And I challenged like this idea by asking my daughter to do it. And I said, hey, would you just like humor me for a second here? She's 14. And she's like, sure, Mom, what do you need? And I told her, and I said, could you go set a timer for 5 minutes in your room and just write me a list of everything that you love and then bring it back to me in 5 minutes. And she did. And I read through it real quick and I was like, so you're not even on this list. And she's like, what? It didn't even occur to her at all to say she loves herself. Okay. So she said she loves something, inanimate objects, before she even listed herself. And I'm sure that you would probably be in the same boat. That question was just to get you to start thinking so that I could chat with you about this today. So it is really easy to see all the things that are wrong with us. And you could probably sit down right now and scribble out a list of 10 things that you don't like about yourself or that you think negatively about yourself in 10 seconds. You could probably be like 1 a second, like your pencil would be like smoking. Okay. You probably could do that really quickly. And you may even be thinking right now of 1 or 2 things that you don't like about yourself that you've already said to yourself today, just since waking up this morning. I know I can. I definitely can. I got up this morning and I didn't say anything to myself like in the first hour. I was just like, I need coffee. I need coffee. And then after the first hour, I was like, why do I always just get coffee first? Man, I should be drinking water. Like, duh, you know this. Why aren't you drinking water? What's wrong with you? Why do you always do what you shouldn't do first? Why do you never drink water? What's wrong? And it started, and I was like, oh, just drink water now and move on, okay? And that's what I did. And then I was like, geez, stop being so mean to yourself. And then I walked into my bedroom and I was going to get dressed so that I didn't come in here in my pajamas, to talk with you guys this morning. And which you wouldn't have wanted anyways. So I'm getting dressed, and I had put on this shirt that I have underneath this little sweater thing. And I was like standing sideways, and there's a mirror kind of to my left. And I'm standing sideways looking at my dresser. And all of a sudden I glanced over at something over there and caught a glimpse of the profile image of my body. I was like, oh my gosh, you look pregnant. That's what I said to myself. That was before 9 o'clock this morning. Just those 2 things. Nobody else would say those things to me, right? So it's a lot harder for me to look in the mirror and go, girl, like your hair looks good today. Because what is the first thing I came on here and said, actually? Let's just go back to that. Man, my hair is, like, that's the first thing I did, right? It's crazy how normal that kind of stuff is to us to do. It's crazy. I wish it wasn't this way, but it is. Okay. So after you kind of go through this list in your mind of all the things that you don't like, I would even encourage you to write it down if you would write it down, all the things you don't like. And at the end of this, in just a minute, because I'm going to be wrapping it up real quick here, because I know I've already been blabbering for 20 minutes, but I just want to encourage you to do this. Really, it's going to make a huge difference in your life if you're so tired of being mean to yourself, if you're so tired of being down on yourself, if you're so tired of feeling like crap. You can get a piece of paper and a pen and follow along with me towards the end here in just a minute. But if you will you can see all those things or list all those things in your mind, and then, or on paper would be better. And then I want you to take another piece of paper or just put a line down the paper where you have it, on the other side, and start listing all the things that you like or that are right about you. And your list is probably going to be half or not even half of what you wrote down that's negative. And you may even not be able to figure out anything. So if you're that bad, which I have been, if you're that bad in that way, not that you're bad, I'm not calling you bad. I'm saying if it's that bad that you can't come up with something on your own that you can say is positive about you. Like I always go to my eyes, like I love my green eyes. So I can always find at least one. Okay. But I love my green eyes. And then I can find other things now, but it took a while. Go to something somebody else said about you. If you can't figure out something for yourself, go to something someone else has said about you. Like maybe they said everybody that you ever bring food to is like, man, you're such a good cook. And you don't think you are, you don't really think anything special about it, but everybody else is telling you you're an amazing cook. Write that down. Okay. So I want you to do that because you're either your biggest critic or you are your biggest fan. Nobody else is going to do that for you. Nobody else is going to be your biggest critic or your biggest fan. Somebody could be nice or mean to you, but you're ultimately your biggest critic or your biggest fan. So just remember that self-talk makes you feel better or it makes you feel worse. So I started off my day with terrible self-talk. terrible. I didn't even start out my day in the Word this morning. When I start my day out in the Word, I feel much better, but my son is struggling with nighttime stuff, and I was up super early, and I'm like, oh. And I just didn't, I don't know. I just wanted to sit and be a zombie. I didn't want to do anything. And so it started the spiral of crazy talk. Okay. So I wrote down something that I thought was good for me. So I want to share it with you. So if you don't feel good, like what I just said, if you don't feel good, you don't want to do stuff. If you don't feel good, if you don't feel energized, if you feel bad, if you feel like lazy, if you feel sick, you don't want to do anything. You just don't want to do stuff with your life. So you're definitely not going to try to go towards making a positive change in your life if you feel like crap all the time. If you're talking to yourself like crap all the time, you're not going to make any big changes in your life. Okay. You're not going to feel motivated to make those changes. So you're going to get in life what you focus on. So if you're focusing constantly on all the negative things and all the stuff that isn't right about you, that's what's going to continue to be. It's not going to change. It's just going to continue to be that way. And you're going to, keep being the way that you are. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter how old you are watching this today. You can change at any age. You can change at any age. You can change at any age. You are not hardwired to be a certain way just because you're a certain age. You can change at any age. That's the beauty of being a human. I love it. I really love it. A therapist I've listened to several times is always saying that. And I'm like, I thank you, Jesus, because that's how I feel. I believe that. But there's so many people I come up against that are like, I am who I am. All righty. You are who you are. That's so true. But do you want to be different? Maybe. And that's where I'm like, geez, okay, Lord, just help me to see them how you see them. Okay. So here's the thing. Here's a really challenging question. Okay. Are you looking, when you're focused on your life, are you focused on all the improvements that you've made so far? Like all the things that you did last year, for instance, because we're still at the beginning of the year. It's like February, right? So we're still at the beginning of the year, and most of us have already like trashed our New Year's resolutions. We're like, never mind, it doesn't work anyway. Like we knew that when we set them. So stop doing that. All right, just stop. But anyways, so if you go back to last year, what did you accomplish? What are some things that you did that you're like, hey, I'm kind of proud of that, or I'm glad I did that, or whatever. Like I planted that garden. I made that craft. I sewed that dress. I cooked this meal I never thought I could. I served a banquet, whatever it is. Okay. Like I got a promotion at work. I lost 10 pounds. So whatever it is, nobody focuses on that. They typically focus on what still is not done. Like, man, I lost 10 pounds last year, but I still have 20 more to go. 20 more to go. Can't ever do it. Constantly messing up. Always eating them donuts, girl. You be putting that creamer in your coffee. You know you shouldn't be using that. Never going to happen. That 20 pounds is never coming off. It's just never going to happen for you. How many of you can totally relate? I know that you can right now. I know that you can. So here's the deal. I'm going to give you an action step and then we'll be done for today. And I hope that this has blessed you so far. It's been fun for me, at least, to hear myself blabber about the things that I know are important. Anyways, so here's the action. I want you to get a pen and paper. You can do this now, later, whenever. But if you do have time to do it now when you're listening to this, whether it's now at 10:25 a.m. Central Standard Time or whatever time it is you listen to this later on, get out your notes. Like I do a lot of notes in my phone. Get out your notes or pen and paper. I say pen and paper because I'm going to ask you to actually do something with this. Okay. I want you to write down everything that you say to yourself. Okay. And then I want you to, like everything, the trash stuff, like all the things that you say to yourself that you don't want to say anymore, everything that holds you back, like everything. One of my big things that I wanted to get rid of, I think I started doing this in November last year, was the word I can't. I didn't even realize how often I said that until all of a sudden, that's all I heard. And then I was like, whoa, actually you can. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Why do you think you can't? Where did this come from? What's this I can't? Just because it's hard. Just because something's hard doesn't mean it can't be done. We'd never fly. We'd never be in airplanes if it was that way, right? Okay. Anyways, I digress. So write down everything that holds you back. Okay. And then I want you to write a massive list of all of your fears, your rejection, your failure, and your lack. I want you to do that after you're done writing that list of everything that you don't like about yourself. I want you to write a list of all your fears, things that you worry about, like rejection, failure, lack. There's a few things that I put down that I have been afraid of in the past that I didn't even realize I was afraid of till I started really asking and doing the why and diving deep in there. Okay. These things that these are the things that, this is what I wrote. These are the things that are likely not even true about yourself. These fears, they seem real to you. Okay. But they're not real. And then I want you, the third list I want you to write, and this is the one that's really not real, that seems real. Okay. This is the big one, is these limiting beliefs. I want you to write down a list of all the limiting beliefs that you have. And my limiting belief again was I can't, period. Not even, I can't, period. Now I can't maybe do this or I can't maybe do that. I can't do nothing. So not true. So funny to me, but I'm just being real with y'all. Okay. So write down all the things that you believe about yourself that are limiting you moving forward to where you want to be, whether that's a weight loss goal, a mental goal, a family goal, relationship goal, job goal, whatever. Okay. Write down all those limiting beliefs that are likely not even true. Okay. And then lastly, I want you to look at the list of all the things that you just wrote down, and I want you to just thank them one by one. Thank you, fear, for trying to keep me safe. Thank you. Thank you, fear of rejection, for trying to protect myself by being mean to other people so that they wouldn't be mean to me first. Thank you. And it sounds really weird. Okay. Thank yourself for thinking all those negative things that you've thought about yourself, because they've gotten you to where you are right now. Okay. So I want you to thank them. And I want you to tell those things that they're no longer going to serve you, that you're going to live the rest of your life without them. Like, thanks, but I don't need you anymore. Thanks, but layoffs, I'm laying you off. You're done. Thanks. You've done a good job so far, but hasta luego. Okay. So say goodbye to them. And the more that you build yourself up with this confidence, okay, the more that you build yourself up, the more confidence you're going to have, the more that you're going to step confidently into the future that you want to create. So doing all this is just creating confidence in you. And it's not a self-confidence, like I'm relying on myself to be everything. I'm talking about you dealing with all the junk and all the lies and all the stuff, like all the stuff I talk about in my book, all the reason I wrote my journal, all the, whatever it is, like all the reasons I ever post a YouTube video, like all the, just to help you to see, like, you're believing things that aren't true about yourself. And so do I, all the time. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with this very last thing. All the things that you've said to yourself, like, just go back and think about it. If you were to make a list of all those things that you said about yourself, and hopefully you're going to make that list, or you have made that list, would you take that list to your daughter or your little sister and say all those things to her? Would you? Because if the answer is no way, then why in the world are you talking to yourself the way that you are talking to yourself? If anyone said the things that I say to myself, I would punch them in the face. Like, maybe not literally. I don't think I've ever hurt anybody, but I would want to. Okay. Like, I would be like, we're friends off. No, not okay. Okay. So you would never talk to someone else the way that you talk to yourself. Okay. When you hear yourself talking to yourself, when you hear yourself saying the things that you say, the negative things that you say, I want you to ask yourself, just like stop. I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. Is this kind? Is this true? And is this useful? Is it kind? Is it true? Is it useful? And if those things are not any of those, kind, true, useful, then you need to disregard it and say, no, that's not true. That's not who I am. That's not. And I want you to replace those thoughts with something true. Challenge those thoughts, replace those beliefs or those lies that you are saying about yourself with something true. Or just take your focus and put it on the things that are good, because the word tells us we're supposed to look at whatever's good and lovely and pure and of right standing. And, so if we're focusing constantly on the negative and the lack and what we don't have and how we fail all the time, we don't miss the mark, we don't measure up. They have this and I don't. They look that way and I don't. I have cellulite and they don't. I have a fat roll and they don't. Okay. Instead of that, be like, over here, I have 3 amazing kids I'm raising that are world changers. I'm so thankful for that. My house is awesome. I'm so thankful that God's given me the blessing of this home that I never thought I would have, with the backyard that I asked him for to the T. Like, I can go over there and look at all of this, go over there and look at all that he's saved me from, versus all the stuff that I still don't have, or I still am not measuring up to. Or I could go over here and look at the 35 pounds that I haven't, or that I have lost, or over here, like, sorry, that was the good part, is over here, right? I could go over here and look at the 35 pounds that I have lost instead I go over here and look at the 20 that I still have to lose, that I keep going up and down with. Blah, blah, blah. So anyways, I hope that this has been really helpful for you today. I hope that you do those exercises that I have definitely done and will continue to do, and find at least 5 things that you can say to yourself that's good and positive, that is the truth of who you are, even if you don't believe it at first. And I just challenge you to go to the mirror and say those things to yourself. And then throughout the day, whether you're doing dishes or if you're in carpool, if you're in the car rider line, if you're at the grocery store, I would challenge you to say them, whisper them if you have to, so you don't seem like a weirdo, but say them out loud out of your mouth. So you're hearing your own voice say, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm loved, I'm safe, and God loves me. Okay. Well, I said I loved already. So whatever, like, and I have awesome hair. Whatever it is. Okay. Find 5 things. And just repeat those things over and over to yourself for a good week, a good solid week. Maybe even make a list. I share this with my clients a lot too. Make a list, put it where you can see it, and then go back to it constantly and look at that and say those things and add to it. Like, I'm a good cook, or I'm good at like taking care of our family's finances, or whatever. Okay. So just add to it. But if you have enjoyed today, I would love for you to just let me know that you have. And if you have any questions, I would love to be able to answer those. And, I look forward to seeing you guys here next Friday if the Lord allows. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.